Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. It was raining before, so I have my coat as usual, but it seems we're okay now, and here come the cars. Yep. That's what always happens. I was just saying to my parents yesterday that every time I turn the camera on for Walking Wednesdays when the cars come in, this time I deliberately avoided starting when that happened, so then it just took a couple more seconds. It's just going to accommodate. In fact, I think the rain has just restarted just now. So yeah, I'm cursed. Nothing new at all. Although what is new is this neighborhood. I almost said avenue as a joke, but it's not an avenue, really. Actually, kind of. Got vegetation on both sides, that's what an avenue is. I don't really know. Anyways, yeah, I'm still in different parts of town, just chartering this stuff and going through the places that I have just never seen before at all on this all the time, because again, we don't just went to the shops and returned. Nothing really to see around here. So yeah, it's like a whole different area. Like back in 2020 when, we first started doing Walking Wednesdays like entirely in Crawley. It was interesting to try and find a different route every time and just like charter around the territory. I will confess, part of me wanted to find the town again because I forgot which way to actually go for it. And it turns out it was, surprise, surprise, was the one direction I don't actually normally turn. I completely forgot how we actually came across it in the end. But there you go. That kid just reminded me of a Tuwani sketch. O's. No O's. Oh, you said O's. Oh, see, I thought you meant O's. If you know, you know. I could explain it, but, considering last time that I went on for quite some time, there's not as much to talk about this week. So I guess I could at the end, maybe if I remember to. But who knows. I should, for now, just get a start on actually talking about the week. Because there's a lot of stuff this week that actually has been happening behind the scenes that I don't really want to go into the details of. Partly because it's boring, and partly because I know, just one of the things I wanted to really just necessarily delve too into, because last time I did, it got very emotional, and it didn't leave me in the best of states. Really, just voicing that like what normally happens. I think I need to make a bit more progress in the area first before I start mentioning things. So let's talk about something else then. Let's talk about a couple of the streams that happened this week. I sometimes scroll back to see which ones have appeared in the time, but also but then also I remember there's another one that was in the meantime that I thought, okay, should mention this one specifically. The one that I scrolled through and saw was Unbounded episode 2, which now I think about it, there's not really much else to talk about with that one. I kind of said what I had to say in that one, really, and nothing else. Maybe I should add that Unbounded seems to be the place that people seem to be working too hard at times. What I mean by that is, the script writers worked a bit too hard in the sense of making everything so expository. Not all the time, but they did. Other times it was possibly excessive details about one thing, or how the backstory seems to flip, and now it's chosen one tail. Obviously, the director worked too hard on doing all those things that don't necessarily have to go in there. And it's weird to say that, because normally with gacha reviews, I'm suggesting things to be added. I mean, yeah, a few things to be removed, like plot holes and stuff like that. There aren't really any plot holes in Unbounded, which I'm pretty sure, again, comes to the territory of making a script. Because a lot of people still don't make scripts of their stuff. I mean, I can list probably the people who make all the Pops series as the best examples, and that's only because I see their progress. They stream it. Remember to see like how everything goes behind the scenes, which I think I mentioned before, but just shows a real loyalty on the part of the fan base, that they'll see the entire process, they'll contribute to the story, and yet they'll still watch it, they'll still see it. And I think that's actually pretty admirable, all things considered. But yeah, the prime example is, of course, because everything's been written in the chat. It's not exactly the most rigorous sort of script processes, which is, again, part of an issue that happens. Also, speaking of scripts, I did the first episode of Script Doctor, which seems to have gone down all right. I was kind of concerned about that one, because at some point between suggesting the idea and finally getting a submission for it, it suddenly dawned on me that might not be a very entertaining thing for people to watch. Because with gacha, at least you can decide some of the moving images, or I can, mock something that's happening on the screen, or, things like that, as well as talk about the story. When you take away that extra layer, I was worried if it was going to be substantial enough to actually support the format. And as it turns out, good grief. I almost got the push in. Basically what happened is one of them pushed into the other two. I thought they were going to collide, possibly with me, so yeah, just kind of swerved for a bit. Jacob Butter! Thank you! I've said before and I'll say it again. That is the generation that knows how to respond to someone vlogging in the street. Because everyone else just looks at me like I'm insane. Which I am, but they don't have to remind me of it. Anyway, see if I can actually... Can I diverge into any other paths? I think I can. If I cross here, head that way. And off we go. That was a much more obvious look both ways situation, because there was a car in the way, so I had to crane forward. Okay, so I was wondering, that's not a distinction between that. I say this, like my first year tutor is actually still watching Walking Wednesday. I highly doubt it. I don't know. Right. I'm gonna put this back up now. Much better. And we arrive at another park clearing. So hopefully it's not too wet. This might have been such a good idea just because it's not much of a path. I don't want to get too muddy. Okay, I changed my mind. Right, what was I saying? About script processes and everything. Yeah, Script Doctor. Despite all my reservations, the people who were there at least seem to be fine with it. Seem to have enjoyed it, and Ghosty, who of course was the subject of Script Doctor this time, actually immediately started reworking the script and actually resent it to me. Probably like almost, like, I mean, I did 5 years later with her after that. But then, sometime when I was like eating dinner or something, I got a resubmission. Which just shows again how quickly that goes. I mean, if you find these things like in advance and see what stuff to highlight, what stuff to leave aside, all those things, you can encounter that much more easily. That's why I kind of suggested doing script doctor in the first place, was so people wouldn't necessarily have that regret after posting Gotcha review, and me, ripping what they'd already done to shreds. Because obviously you can't go back and just alter that necessarily. Sometimes you can. The person responsible for Tree Pop and Trust Pop, that series, turns out their iPad has restart, so they are going to reboot the first couple episodes that we looked at. But for the most part, it always comes too late. Which is why I'm so glad that reviews are entertaining, because that's the way to take action with them. So that's a relief to me for that reason. But yeah, I guess Script Doctor is just, a different version of that. So you get the ability to change it at the sacrifice of a bit of the entertainment versus the other side. I guess it's just, which one do you prefer? I'm not stopping Gotcha review, certainly. Again, the list goes ever on and on. I must follow it where I can, what they say. Speaking of following stuff wherever I can. You want a fancy game of poo sticks? Which people don't know, poo sticks is a game in Winnie the Pooh where you drop a stick. Well, two or more people drop a stick in the stream, and they have to watch it as it goes underneath. And who's ever thing comes out the other side, it comes out first, wins. It's surprisingly more fun than I made it sound. Or maybe it's just the nostalgia. Couldn't say for certain. Okay. On the road, this is the cycle side, so I'm going to go on this side. Yeah, rather fun place. Okay, what else? Other streams. It's a Nightwolf Life. Of course. That was another thing where I kind of, doubted for a bit. Just because, I mean, I of course, I've said this before, I make no exceptions in terms of the way that I review stuff, regardless of, how long ago it came out, what the subject matter is, the production value of the thing in question, and of course, how old the person was when they made it. So it's always a bit of a gamble trying to find out how someone's going to react, just because there's such a variety of ways that can be interpreted every single time, even if you've known the person for years, kind of like Emily. So I sort of doubted during that time if the levels of cringe that Emily was experiencing versus the laughter we were getting out of, looking back at this old thing and saying, oh no, look how far you've come, haha, your stuff now is so much better. Whether or not those two things, balance each other out in a way that actually didn't, hurt Emily. So yeah, I do, contrary to what I've said, I do tend to adjust sometimes what I do. So So yeah, if the person is there, they seem to be like unraveling at the seams. I try to highlight the more positive things as well, like look more intently than usual for positives. Not that I don't do that already, but obviously I can change the emphasis if I want to. But again, normally I don't, because I want to keep the same level of fairness for everyone. Then again, considering that it was all about an entire channel dissection of a channel that is so very old now. Well, I mean, it's interesting because, yeah, Emily's been in the Gacha community since 2017. That channel goes back to 2019 only, which means there were more channels before that. But this is the one that seems old and cringe. Which is a weird thing for me, just because those videos at the same time that are now old and cringe and, you know, products of a bygone era of the Gacha community and of the mental state of one Emily last name. It's they were still being made around the same time, in fact significantly after the first episodes of The Mutant Girl. Season 1 was going on around the same time. I mean, obviously I go on about, you know, how old that show is at this point. You know, I make no secret of it, naturally. At the same time, though, when it comes to looking at the stuff, seeing how the things that came around that time are now old and cringe, versus the later evolution that not only the show itself took, but just the general zeitgeist of the Gacha community. It is very interesting and very mind-boggling as well. I think Ghosty said during that stream of His Night Wolf Life that I don't know what it was like to be a cringy Gacha kid. And I vaguely said at the time, I don't know that because Gacha wasn't around when I was a kid, so I couldn't have gone through that. But at the same time, I very much went through an awkward and cringy phase on YouTube. I mean, on this very channel, because I never switched channels at any point, like Emily did. If I had, then, you know, I would have been going back to the stuff here, and just realizing how much of a quote-unquote mistake this channel was. Obviously, I don't feel like that. And even if I did, I still would, again, I would find the good in those memories. I would find the way to say, oh, look at this. Look at what I was doing here. Look how pathetic that is in comparison to what I can do now, pretty much almost with zero effort. Like, I'm pretty sure every stream, probably even most Walking Wednesdays, are more viewable. They're more audible, and they're possibly more entertaining than any of the old stuff from, like, you know, I would say My First Pixelmon, but maybe not that. Mario 63, season 1 of Mario 63. Or, you know, Spore, Legend of Tid, or Fortress Pascal, the 2 attempts of the last log of Tertius Hazelwig. And a lot of you now are saying, oh, what on earth are those things? Exactly. Why would you know? Because you all came for the stuff now. You came because I evolved, because I changed, and because I actually managed to realize, you know, what it meant to actually, you know, try and improve. So I made a conscious effort all the time to never delete any of my old videos, or as few as I need to. Sometimes there would be people who would say, for example, oh, I can, the first Leon talks Sheena rant, it's no longer relevant, please take it down. And so then I'll take it down. Other times people have said to me, oh, the musical features me. I don't want or features my characters that I've designed. Please take it down, because I'm embarrassed of those characters. And I say, no, I can't do that. So I don't do it all the time, but yeah, a few times I've deleted some other videos. There was one time that I posted a video super quickly. It was a song that I absolutely despised, and that one is deleted. It's gone forever. But for the most part, I leave everything up because I want to showcase that growth, and also because young me wanted those to be on the internet, and therefore I still do. Like, young me wanted to tell some sort of story with them. At the very least, I'm going to attempt. I've gone in a circle. I just realised I'm back to main town. Oh, this is the same avenue, the one I started at, which is not an avenue still. Nice. Just gonna go across here so I don't get in the middle of that lorry before I try and cross over. Okay, here we go. I think the lens is becoming smudged by the rain. I'm still going to talk about the most impressive thing that has happened recently, and also other nonsense stuff, which happens to be, as you know, did I finish what I said before about the other things? No, I didn't. Okay, so I made a conscious effort to do that, and clearly that means that I'm not as embarrassed of my younger self, because I know that I'm not the same person. I know that I've changed, and it's obvious. If someone thinks the stuff that I'm doing now is bad, they should, boy, how did he see what I was doing before? That kind of thing. And people love to see a person's evolution over time. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that because I don't know if that came up in the stories. Come July, I'll be doing YouTube for 10 years. So, that's, again, almost the same amount of time that I had lived before doing YouTube, I've been doing now. In 3 years' time, I'll be doing YouTube for half my life, assuming that, I don't get struck by lightning or something. You know what I mean? But the reason I bring any of that up is because, relating to Emily, looking back at that other child that's been abandoned, while the new one flourished, and realizing that when she was saying that she had no memory of making those videos, it was just no memory of the person that she was at the time, or sometimes why those happened, or almost no context whatsoever, then it is hard to be proud of your progress because you don't recognize that progress. It's one of those cases where I can look back at a video, maybe like when I'm editing my first Pixel one, which of course I made 8 or 9 years ago, and I can say, okay, well, I'm looking at this, and then I'll make a comment, and then I will be able to guess the joke that I'm about to make, which shows that I haven't changed as much as I thought I did, granted, but also sometimes it's just nice to look back at the stuff I'm talking about, like maybe what happened in school that particular day, remembering what it was like to be there, to be in that moment, and to finally actually achieve the goal that I wanted to do all that time ago, and put that online. It feels it feels wrong to take down my old stuff. And Emily, to her credit, has not taken down the channel Emily the Singing Girl. Nor has she taken down any of the other videos that she's embarrassed of on her main channel, which is most of them. So at that level, you've got to actually respect that. I guess having the videos heightened and dissected might have been possibly a step too far, going back to that extent. I don't actually know. We all had to go after that. Emily had to go to bed, and I didn't really confer with her after that to see the impact, if there was any at all. Because she did say that she was like crying during the stream, which is why, again, I tried to go, rein it back in and go for positives. It's always interesting. I mean, Tammy the Bad Boy was a sort of a similar process again, because Shorty already, even though we started those back when Tammy the Bad Boy had just concluded, really, well, the first season had, and yet already the embarrassment was so much. It's a thing of what I used to say, like, oh, it's made a month ago, I've changed so much as a person. Eventually that becomes true. Not after a month, but eventually that comes true. And you just realise that, the stuff you're doing, oh Lord. Oh Lordy Lord. So yeah, that's an issue sometimes. So yeah, that whole stream, if anything, I did learn from that, because I don't know what it's like to be a cringy gacha kid, or having that weird gacha phase. And to some extent, neither does Emily, because obviously there's nothing in there that's like, heat or stuff like that. Not even close. The biggest surprise in terms of romances was the fact that Emily seemed to want to pass off as straight, which of course is no longer the case at all. So again, personal evolution, we're here for it. But yeah, so there's nothing that's like problematic in there. Nothing that, is going to raise any red flags as someone watches it back. It's just a case of, this doesn't make much sense. What was I thinking? This was awful. Or, why was I making my voice so high in this particular video? Because I didn't think having a deep voice was normal or nice to hear in a video, which again, relatable, because my 14-year-old self thought the exact same thing, but just couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah. Good on you, Emily, for the attempt, I will say that much. So yeah. I don't know. I always love learning about this kind of stuff, and just every person that I review always is different. So even if they've been there all along, if they feature in other reviews, watching other people's content, there's always going to be something else that you can find, which is probably why I haven't tired of it. Because I keep saying, in the actual gacha reviews themselves, the reviews of the gacha, a lot of them tend to have the same kind of problems, in terms of like choppy visuals, possibly, easy editing fixes, story plot holes, spelling mistakes. You've heard and seen it all before. But the way they're presented, the way that happens, is always interesting, and if if dealt with, the right degree of tact, is always funny. Which is why I have no intention of stopping gacha reviews in general. As for Tonight Wolf Life itself, that mini-series probably is going to focus mainly on Emily's main channel. We might go back to some of the other older singing girl videos. It really depends. I have to run that by Emily, probably. I like how an actual proper tutorial is not yeah. So I'll do that in time. So now to conclude, because I really want to conclude because this has gotten way worse, the weather. I got a bit of a funny story to end this off. which I might have put in the title, so I apologize for waiting this long to get to this point. But whenever I open up new YouTube tabs, what I usually do is, because YouTube's recommended page, I get so tempted to just like open up other tabs and, you know, save the videos that it recommends on there for later. What I do is I just open up my own channel and put stuff on there. Yeah. Good lord. Okay. I have no idea which way to go now. I guess this way. I also think somehow the water's been like soaked into my shirt, even though I'm wearing a coat. I don't understand how that's happened. Yeah, so what I did, so I was typing in Jacob Butter as usual to do that, and I accidentally clicked on the wrong link in terms of, I went to my Google search results, not my YouTube search results. Which normally when I do that, it either comes up with my channel being like the first thing, or it's like the third after, like, you know, that Ballinger family video of Jacob Butter and butter, or, you know, Jacob's peanut butter puffs, or whatever that thing was, or the footballer Jacob Butterfield. Any of those could appear as search results, and they have done at random from time to time. But this time, what appeared first was my channel, and second was an IMDB page in my name. And as it turns out, back in 2020, I auditioned and got a part for this series called Camp Summer. My character was camp leader Cole, and he was supposed to be in episode 2, which I don't even know if is out. I tried looking for Camp Summer episode 1, and that seems to be gone as well. But somehow IMDb had verified that, and the creator of Camp Summer had actually made an IMDb page for me from that successful audition. Which is amazing, because then it allowed me to look into actually adding to the list of credits. At the very least, I have two minds about this, because on one hand, I have to go by Jacob Butter on IMDb at the moment, at least for the next 7 days, while IMDb verifies verifies the Mutant Girl as an actual product. Because you can do that with YouTube series. You can list them as like made for TV, and then specify web series in the tags, and do that. That's why Music Freaks appears on there. So I started doing that yesterday, because I'm looking to build my website of, like, you know, my skills and criteria and stuff. And then also in our still centralized internet world, it makes a lot of sense to go on IMDb and just be like, well, let's actually put this together. And since I have a thing, I can say that I was the director, producer, and everything, and they can verify that it was me, go through all of those details. And while they check that out, eventually the Mutant Girl will probably be likely be verified as a show on there. Not that it needs to be, it's just fun that it can be. So, you know, I'm going to stay on right here, it's drier. That was just a fun thing at the end, so I guess I said to any voice actors on the Mutant Girl server, you know, if any of you have IMDb pages, put them on there. I didn't realize you had to have IMDb Pro in order to make websites, to like make your own pages for people. So, I know, we'll see in due time. Apparently you don't need it for the actual shows unless you want to put, like, list in the production companies and stuff. And as Buttercorp doesn't actually have a business registry at all, there's not really much point doing that section. So, yeah, I was able to actually add that stuff and not pay IMDb to do it. So I'm really grateful to the creator of Camp Summer for acknowledging my credits 2 years after the fact, even if the show unfortunately did not come to pass. So I'm honoured. So yeah, thank you to that person. And I guess, best luck if you actually decide to return, because I know a while ago you left. So who knows? Maybe now it's coming out in a more official capacity. There's something to be a director, producer role on credit on Cap Summer, so I don't really know for certain. It's a whole interesting world in there, and the sooner I can build up that portfolio, the better, because that was one of the things we mentioned during one of my drama school lessons, and none of us actually ever did. So there you go. Alright, I think that is it. I'm going to head back. I'm going to get warm and dry and maybe speak to Emily about the stuff, because that's at the forefront of my mind now, along with the IMDB thing. So yeah, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.